Hello, everybody. Sandra Pelly, the Sandini, Inner Dragon Transformation Specialist, the Dragon Ally, and the Galactic Shaman. As you know, I'm going to say it. I am really looking forward to this. I'm excited about this. We're uh, we're doing the relationship guide today, and it's been a really magical journey so far. And as I delve further into each of these things, I love the little epiphanies that are happening over the weekend or over my days as I go along in my life. And just, I find that I'm noticing little things a little bit more clearly. That's how I want to word that. Yeah. And a couple things come into play with that. It's the really recognizing the things that I'm doing on a consistent basis that are helping me to recognize these small little things that I may have not been doing on a consistent basis. A case in point for this is that I'm literally writing in my mantra journal every single day about that I'm the clear channel and that my filters provide great clarity. And then I have these aha moments. So it's really fascinating how when we set something up, it does unfold in that manner. Let's take a moment right now to ground ourselves. So I'm inviting you to take a few breaths to feel into the energy of how you are already very strongly connected with your inner child, that little you, the inner dragon, your physical body, asking your mind, body, and soul and all aspects of yourself to be willing to receive and share, to accept, trust, and believe that all of this beautiful energy that we're stirring about, that we're placing in places, that we're witnessing, that we are consciously doing this for the highest good, for the most benevolent reasons, and the greatest good of all. And what that means is that as we look at ourselves and what our role is in our own personal life, that we create this beautiful ripple effect. And it's a very, very powerful, powerful place to be when we truly recognize how we are doing that. I invite you to feel into the energy of the soles of your feet, this beautiful, energetic energy flowing into Mother Earth. Mother Earth is tending to those roots, to those tendrils. And they're creating this beautiful loop that goes through all the layers, through the dirt, through the rock, through the crystalline, through the lava, through the core, and then the reverse out the other side. And it's doing this beautiful loop and coming back through the divine source and into all of the chakras that we're consciously and unconsciously aware of. In this beautiful connection, a strong awareness of self and how self is with the little you and the inner dragon. And so it is. Beautiful. As I mentioned, I'm always excited every time we go into these, and I think that is a measure of how I've chosen to live my life. I've heard people say to me, "Oh, you're never going to grow up," or they say, "I love that you are still uh, um, that you approach life in the manner that you do. Not maybe it's not maybe it's childlike. However, it's very, very powerful that I choose to look at life like this all the time. And I know I had a girlfriend who was very much, she was always like, ah. like about her life. Like everything was wonderful, except that I knew that behind the scenes things were less than ideal, less than ideal. And truly, it was by making a simple choice in her life of where she wanted to be, what she wanted to feel. And if this is what she wanted, then she was being asked to act a certain way. And by being asked to act a certain way, it was recognizing that she was being really back and forth, and she was being asked that whatever the decision was that she chose to make, because she still had the choices, that she stayed the course, that she dove into whatever that choice was. Okay. And I say that because there's a lot of power when we start to recognize ourself in everything that we do. And I'm going to swing around to a whole, probably a number of things you will have heard, and uh, and some you may not have, or you may be hearing for the first time. So what's going on with this is our little U's are the part of ourselves that have affected us. Oh, and you know what? I just want to kind of maybe expand on this a little bit before I go into our little U energy and the inner dragon. Um, this is about relationships, and you may have come in prepared to listen to this thinking, "Oh, I'm really excited because I want to really make it a much better relationship with this person in my life." And it could be a husband, it could be a partner, it could be your kids, whatever it is, right? Or a boss. And you know, that's beautiful. That is really, really beautiful to want and desire a better relationship with other people. However, ultimately, loving oneself, taking care of oneself, having the powerful relationship with yourself is actually what's going to improve all the other relationships that you have around you. Okay. And I say that with 100% certainty. And I would even go so far as to guarantee that because I've walked the path of wanting to have better relationships and beating myself up and knocking my head against the wall in essence, wanting to have a better relationship. When I married my husband, I married him for life. I thought it would be a lot better than it was at some points. And believe me, we had some very, very difficult times. Again, though, people around us thought we were living the life, right? Because you don't know what's going on in the back, right? And it was when I started to have a relationship with myself that things started to change with all of my relationships. It's why I believe more people are showing up on these calls. It's why more people are showing up in the Soulful Power call. It's why more people are showing up in the Soulful Business call. It's why when I go places, in the family dynamics of things, things are happening differently. People are reaching out and asking advice or wanting to know something in a different manner, right? It's because they're recognizing that something's different. But what is that thing that's different? The thing that's different is I am no longer calling myself an idiot. I am no longer bad mouthing myself. I am no longer taking the blame for everything. I hope that one struck a chord with you guys. I am no longer taking the blame, right? And we take the blame in everything that's going on in our own life. Like I'm unsure on what it's like in every other continent. I can tell you with a fair amount of certainty that Canadians are, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We are really pathetic in the I'm sorry. Having said that, I even grew up with that. Like my dad is a a man who drank a fair amount in my childhood. He was an alcoholic. He quit drinking in 2016 because of a life crisis, health crisis, and his saying sorry has diminished dramatically now because he's taking care of himself in one sense. Okay. he used to say, "I'm sorry about everything." Man, like he'd wake up drunk in a chair. And this is so weird. I never realized I was coming in and talking about this, you guys. So this is bizarre for me, okay? Um, he would like I'd come into the living room and maybe I would make a noise and he would wake up from his stupor and go, "I'm sorry." Right? Like, why are you apologizing? You weren't the one doing anything. You're just sitting there, right? Uh, Again, when I started to care about myself, when I started to witness myself, when my dad actually, like there was a point where he was living with us, and in that period when he was living with us, I had some really major growth in what my relationship with was with myself. I started to see myself. Okay. What happened with that is my dad says to me one day, "Hey, look at these frogs in here." So we had a terrarium beside him that it like he sat beside this for probably almost 2 years. And then when I started working on myself, he started to see the frogs in that tank. He'd never really noticed them or saw them before. He saw that they had orange bellies. He saw that they jumped around, that they swam. He noticed when that there was five, or then there was only three, like things like that. He started to notice things because I was doing the work with myself. I was having the relationship with myself. Okay. Many of you already have these. It's the I am love mantra card. This is the thing that changed my life. This is the thing that uh, I really stepped into. It started with the I am open mantra. And when I say the I am open mantra, I'm going to breathe out right now. I am open with no expectations, no limitations. Now, if you have physically received these cards, it actually says on it, "I am okay with the outcome." That was the beginning of my journey because I was okay with the outcome. If I chose to step into my life with no expectations and no limitations, then I was okay with my outcome. In more recent years, I am really recognizing that I am the one that is creating my outcome. So I have a whole bunch of these still. So if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're here and you have not got these and you would like them, I need your mailing address. One of you here wanted these cards. I mentioned it a little while ago, and I actually sent out a message to you saying, "I actually need your physical mailing address." Okay. If you would like these, reach out to me privately and I will send it out to you. It's I mail them out to the countries wherever they go, wherever they go. Anyway, um, when we think about expectations, it's breaking the habit. When we think about limitations, it's recognizing that uh, there may be something going on around us and we're in awe of what that person's doing, right? And it could be let's use the spiritual journey for instance. You guys, no, I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm going to go in a different direction. I really recognized when I heard this one person speak that, holy cow, they really knew how to connect with their guides. And I was in complete awe of them. And when I was able to get onto a one-on-one call with them, and let me rephrase that. It wasn't a one-on-one call. It was something like this, where I got to get on and I got to raise my hand and got to speak to them during that group call. And I was so in awe of being able to speak with that person. And for years followed her. And then something shifted, and I actually felt the energy of how I no longer needed to prove to myself I was capable because I had reached the point where I really was living the no expectations and no limitations, that I knew I could connect in with the guides as easily as this other person, that I knew I could take all of my relationships to a different place because of that. So this I am love mantra, Again, it's got another line to it now that I love myself on the bottom of it. And I'd like to take a moment to breathe our way through this as well. So embracing your little you and your inner dragon energy. I am love. I am loved. I am loving. I am lovable. I love me. I love myself. And as you sit in the energy of that, how does that feel? Right? Yeah. So often we're telling other people that we love them. And rarely do we step into the energy of telling ourselves the things that we're just breathed through with this mantra that I am love, I am loved, I am loving, I'm lovable. I love me, I love myself. So rarely do we do that for ourselves. These two mantras were the game changers in my life. Given where each of you likely are on your own journey, one of those may have felt a little stronger or a little bit more feeling resistance to it, whatever the case is. So, really recognizing what that is and asking questions of that, right? It's been very interesting when the pandemic hit in 2020, the world really shut down in a very major way. And it became apparent that we were being asked, at least it became apparent to me, that we were being asked to really create a relationship with those around us in a far different manner. So taking away or no longer being concerned in this space here right now about um, in-laws or parents or what have you that we were unable to get to because of the pandemic. And just thinking about honing in on what happened in the family dynamics. And in that family dynamics, I know for myself, I created a space where for one, I create a space that were for other people to have conversations. That's what where the Soulful Power Call was birthed, was during the pandemic. So it's now 5 years in existence. In that, I did that because I recognized I needed support. Okay, it's just like with us coming together to do this 8-day Meet My Guide thing. Yes, it is for you guys all to learn, but it's also too for me to recognize as I'm talking my way through this, the information that's coming through around it, the little you and the inner dragon in, with each of these guides. It's um I'm stretching past my old familiar grounds of just the inner child and stepping into the inner dragon stuff. So I'm doing this for myself as well. And of course, it makes sense to do it for other people. So it's really recognizing that we shut down Earth and in the pandemic stage, and we started to see ourselves in a different light. We started to recognize the things that we might have had in our home. We started to recognize some of the relationships that we had. We started to recognize uh, the things that we wanted to have differently. In some cases, when the world started to open up again, it was starting to recognize how we wanted to move forward in that world and that we maybe disliked that we were being asked to go back to the way it was, that we were willing to make some changes to have a different way of life. What this all kind of came on the cusp of being seen, and that being seen is so important when we start to see ourselves in that. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and witness your little you today here in this beautiful space. And some of the things that you are doing in your life now because of the relationship you have with that little you right now. Now I'm inviting you to roll back the moon, many, 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 many cycles of the moon. Roll it back. 36, 48, 60, 72 cycles. That's like 6, 7, 8 years ago. And what was your relationship with your little you then? What were you, how were you treating yourself 7 or 8 years ago? And then feel the flight of the inner dragon bringing you back to current space. And what's something you've done for yourself recently that was really about entertaining maybe the little you, playing with the little you, uh, gifting the little you? This weekend, I went to the city. And when I say the city, it's a 3 hour drive one way. And I truly, I went for one main reason, and that was to go and hang out with my granddaughter, who is 8, almost 9. And I gave her a list of things that we could do together, and I asked that she chose one out of it. And the first one that she chose, I forgot to do the research and it was closed. We were unable to do it. So I asked her, can you choose another one on the list? And so she chose for us to go to the movie Minecraft. Now, Minecraft is a gamer's movie. And if you have the ability, like if let me rephrase that. If you're a Jack Black fan or if you're a gamer, uh, it's beautifully done, and truly, it's an incredibly perfect role for Jack Black to be in. And we had a lot of fun watching it. Before I got there, I chose to go and get Easter treats for all of my kids and my father-in-law as well. And as I'm going through the empty shelves of the Easter things and what have you, I noticed there's a thing of Legos, and I bought it. Because it's got peacock. A peacock is super, super important to me. It had a major, major shift in my whole awareness of guides. A peacock energy came through in 2017 for me, and it's how I got onto the this huge summit that I was on for 3 or 4 years on a fairly frequent basis. Also, too, though, in this is the dragonfly, which the little you is like the dragonfly flitting all over the place, right? But as it becomes the dragon, and then it also has a butterfly. So you can make any one of these three things in here. And that butterfly is all about transformation. So I was like, oh wow, I'm going to see what that costs. And I did. I saw how much it costs, and then I thought, you know what? I deserve this. My little you wants to build this. I actually have Legos up here already. I'm a big Lego nut. I have a police station from when I was probably 9 years old. Legos, a fire station as well. I have a rocket. I really love Legos. So this is what I did for myself over these last couple days. Is I went to a movie that would be a gamer like and for me, I'm not a gamer. I that's a world that I choose to stay out of because I know I could get just and gone. However, going to see this movie was very much feeding my little you. It was a lot of fun and also too doing it with my granddaughter. And then we went to a playground afterwards as well. And this Lego thing, I think it's really interesting that it also has the word creator on it, and that's one of the inner dragon archetypes. Very, very cool. So, how did you guys, I open up the floor here. How did you guys feel when we just did that little exercise there? And did you did something come up in recognizing today and what you were about 8 years ago with your little you energy? And have you done something for yourself now that you really recognize was your little you coming in? I know we also bought Easter chocolate for ourselves, so that was the little you. Anybody like to speak? Go ahead, Simone.
The funny thing is that 8 years ago exactly, well, almost, it was in January 8 years ago, I realized that it was about self-love, that I didn't want in the first place to be loved from the outside, which didn't really happen. I noticed what I wanted was to be loved by myself. It was a start, but I was still stuck in the family dynamic, in that unhealthy cycle, which I didn't know
Yep.
because I didn't know actually at that time how much I was the one carrying the burden of my family. And interesting is this weekend was exactly about that, giving back what I thought was mine. Since I'm a strong empath, even before birth,
Yep.
I already felt so much from my mom. And today it was about giving back that this world is unsafe. And I'm
Good for
very sure
you.
it is handed down in my family, because there was the last war here in Germany,
Yeah.
where my grandparents were children, so they experienced what was going on. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for me. So I lived what they experienced, but you can say, put myself through endless suffering. And I understand why they were in that way, why there was a trauma that I
Yeah.
received from my mom, because it was a repetition from what
Yep.
she experienced. So it's really, honestly, I don't have to be like them to fit in.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I don't belong in that family. I love them, but the best gift I could give myself and my mom was stepping out of the family,
Hmm.
because the dynamic was so unhealthy and toxic for me. It wasn't respected when I said no.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
can only
hearing,
be myself and express myself if I'm not there
yeah.
to carry
I'm
their
I
stuff or be there to take on this projection. So it's not about judging, it's just giving it back. It's
exactly. Yeah.
me, and that's okay. No expectations, because a lot of expectations that were there weren't actually mine. And the
Yeah.
moment you stop expecting something from you that you that can't be there in that moment, we start someplace we don't know. We have experiences, we
So
learn,
I'm
get
I'm going to
knowledge,
get you to
but
hone in, Simone. I'm going to get you to hone in here.
yeah,
Uh, I love all the background and the realization. I think that that's such a powerful thing to witness because it truly is generational energy that we are bringing into here. And so when you said that you recognized this weekend and you gave it back, I just want to tell you that I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
What a beautiful thing to gift yourself. What a beautiful thing to gift yourself. So when we started that process and you witnessed your little you here in this space today, what was the energies she was portraying? She or he?
It's just sitting there relaxing, just being, not having to do or fulfill anything. It's like, yes, no, this kind of this, chilling. Because it's
Um,
different. It's just being there, present with myself. And that's for me what it means, with no expectations, no limitation.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I want to expand just a little bit on that being there for myself. And then I'd like to ask anybody else if they'd like to share too. Uh, during during the pandemic and the years that kind of followed that, I know for myself, it was almost like I used excuses of, oh, I have a sniffle. I am unable to tend something because I have a sniffle. Oh, I've got this. My stomach feels like this. Oh, I'm unable to attend something because I don't, I'm worried about bringing something, right? And then I realized about a year and a half ago that I was stopping myself from going from all kinds of different events that really meant something very, very powerful for myself. Like they were possibly memorials, possibly birthday parties. I even had the vehicle broke down on me, so I was unable to attend a family birthday party. In fact, that happened 2 years in a row. That happened for me for the granddaughter whose birthday I just went to this last weekend. I finally made it. Having said that, uh, in this last year, once I realized that it was me that was possibly doing this, I started to go, okay, well, I want to go to these things. So what's going on? And comically enough, the last 3 trips that I've made to the city by myself, there have been snowfall warnings that are over there. And I've said to my husband, "Oh, there's a snowfall warning and it's over there and it's going to miss us." And all 3 of those days, I woke up to 2 inches plus of snow on the ground here. The snowfall warning wasn't over there. It was actually right here now, kind of thing. And I could have made those choices in each of those times to stay home. Oh, I shouldn't travel because there's all this snow falling and stuff. And the first 2 times that I did that, the highways were bone clear. They were really, really good, right? This weekend with that snowfall, the roads were definitely winter roads. Like they were slushy, they were thick. I could barely see because of the snow falling and stuff. And yet I went anyway. And with this trip, I was like, oh, this is happening. So I am continually now proving that I want to do something, that I'm going in that direction. So I love what you're saying, Simone, because in the grand scheme of the being, I'm being who I really want to be. I want to go do these things. And if that's sitting quietly in a theater with my granddaughter, then that's what it is, right? However, I'm have really recognized how these little things have lined up. So if you're unable to go to things because things keep coming up, start to ask yourself why, right? Start to ask yourself why. Would anybody else like to share what they experienced meeting their little you there in today's space and possibly 8 years ago? And thank you, Simone, for saying that because that that self-love for me started in 2017. That was 8 years ago. That's pretty wild. It didn't even dawn on me until you said that. That was the aha moment there for me. Yeah. Anybody else like to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
So, 8 years ago, I was overworking and shaming and blaming and making myself wrong. Today, I was just being in nature, sitting under a tree, laying under a tree, coloring while I sit or lay under the tree, just being. And yeah, that's where I have been consistently now, is in that allowing, being, and witnessing. And there was very much that sense of witnessing my inner child and just being totally at peace with it.
I feel so much power in that. My hair's standing up on my arms. Sonia, thank you for sharing. Yeah. And notice what she said. She's witnessing. Okay. Witnessing. And that's what I said happened to me with this snowstorm this time. I witnessed where I had been and where I am now, right? The relationship with yourself is the one that's going to change the relationships with everybody else. Okay. Another example of this is that my mother married a pretty overbearing man, and all of that entailed whatever that entailed. And I was noticing that when we went traveling to their place, that I was starting to feel really ill before we got there. And I wasn't sure what was going on because I wasn't even at their house yet and I was already feeling ill, right? And so one day I did this beautiful energy clearing. I do something with pyramid power where I create this beautiful energetic pyramids all around and then above and below, and then bring in the light, and it pushes out the density of whatever else is going on. It's really, really quite magical. And when we got to their place, the energy was really different, quite significantly different. And I found that I felt a lot better. So I did something again for myself. I cleared the space there so that I would feel comfortable going into there. Okay. And in more recent years, there's other dynamics going on. And people in my family who I've had a not necessarily yeah, I'm going to say it that way. Not necessarily estranged relationships. However, they might have been relationships that I've struggled with. They're actually speaking to me in different ways. They're asking advice. They're coming to me in a completely different manner because of the way that I am treating myself. Even what, like, I can say this about almost any member in my family. How they're acting now is a direct correlation to how I am now treating myself. And what I mean by that is that because I witnessed myself, I am no longer okay. The way that this wants to come through is I keep hearing this little niggling of a phrase that I alluded to this at the kind of before, where I said that it's so much easier to tell people you love them than it is to tell yourself that you love yourself, right? And in doing that, uh, we've got a natural wall up because we're unable to receive love because we just want to give love, you know, and that's the compliment that's coming your way, right? Like when I tell you guys that I see the incredible you, how many of you are going, okay, right on, yay? And how many of you are going, really? uh, that if you're one of those people that are going, oh, really? That's a really powerful indication of the possibility that you are unable to see yourself. And if you're unable to see yourself, other people are unable to see you. So you people may be telling you they love you. You're not receiving that love. You're unable to receive that love. So that's why I keep throwing this mantra at you guys, the I am love mantra, because it is the game changer. I mean, um, I can literally go through this and I could tell you which person brought in which part of some of this because it literally started as a four-liner. In fact, it started out as a four-liner and now it's six lines, right? And it's because all of those aspects of ourself. So when I say the mind, body, and soul and all aspects of ourself, the aspect of ourself that like we've learned about the abundance guide, we've learned about the creator guide, we've learned about the all of these bits and pieces of ourself. They're all part of ourself, and people can see that in us. However, we're unable to see it ourselves because we're putting up this wall. And when we have that wall up, what? Yeah, I feel like I'm hitting walls today. I really feel like I'm hitting walls today, and I'm unsure why. I'm unsure why. So energetically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you guys to close your eyes, feel into the energy of really being with your little you. I'm inviting you to ride the inner dragon, to take flight with the inner dragon, or to whatever this looks like, whatever this feels like. You're being invited to take flight with your inner dragon and see yourself as your little you and your inner dragon see you. Whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like, being open, no expectations, no limitations. You're being invited to remember something that someone said about you recently that was so endearing to you, that made you feel so good. And receive it now. Receive it in even a more powerful way. I'm going to ask you to come back to this space. And I actually want to give you guys some homework today. Some play, some home play. Let's take the work out of that. Let's play with this energy. The call to action is to write a letter to yourself from your little you and inner dragon. Okay? And let them express how they feel about you. So basically what you're going to do is I'm going to use myself as the example. Dear Sandra, this is your little you, or this is your inner dragon. And then have both of them say whatever. And when you're done writing, sign it from them with love from your inner dragon or your inner child or both, whatever it is. What I suggest you do too in this is actually set the timer for about 20 minutes and really give yourself over to letting your inner child and inner dragon come out and really speak to you. Okay? I will tell you that my relationship with my husband changed dramatically because I started to love myself. Okay. I am one of the fortunate ones that he accepts the woo in me and accepts me for who I am. There are cases where you will love yourself, and there will be people who become less attached to you because it's all like I want to say the cream in you is rising. There's something powerful about you when you start to care about yourself. Okay, Barb.
I was thinking just that and tying that to what Simone said earlier about expectations. And for me, I think I realized that for so much of my life, I was living, trying to live up to other people's expectations. We get past that initial childlike state. We start going to school, we start comparing ourselves and getting told who we should be or what we should be doing as children. And we get locked into this idea and like being treated, being shamed and being treated like I was doing something wrong because I looked out the window. I wasn't paying attention. This came up. It was in a previous call, I think our morning call, and how by noticing things around me, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, sitting and paying attention. Anyway, that was just one example that came up. And we just get stuck in that. And even though I think inside me I could feel this rebelliousness in me, it's like, well, don't tell me what to do, but then it would come out as like, I'll do what I want. um, for me, I think it was more, it's like that whole your mantras about, I'm open with no expectations and no limitations. And that really changed a lot for me to not so much because even then we have expectations about ourselves, but then what are those expectations based on? And there's a balance there. I mean, we push ourselves to do things, we set challenges, we work on certifications and developing our skills and earning accolades and certificates to validate who we are. And and in one of those cases, it was for me. I did want to achieve one of those achievements because I wanted to better myself as that. But in the process, other people do start to define you by that. So in this case, I'm talking about, certification in skiing and coaching. And then that sort of became my persona to so many people. And even there, and I enjoyed doing that and I've learned a lot from it. I think it just blends in with a lot of steps I've gone through to become that coach. And when you mentioned this last thing, how do other people see us and how we don't see ourselves? And there was a situation just, doing our cold plunge, a couple of new ladies. And it's like, oh, they're all nervous. It's like, so I took their hands and give me your hand, and walk in, and we're holding hands. So they're squeezing my hand because they're in fear. And I'm just doing this talk about the breath and moving through it, feeling the sensation. And there was another lady who's a regular, she did. And I just realized I don't pay attention to that. I mean, she looked at me, she said, "You are such a goddess." As we're walking out, because she was witnessing the way I was able to help these two newbies, total strangers, never met them. They were house guests for Easter weekend, and their hostess said, "Well, this is what we do." But a lot of it, I think, for me, shifted through COVID. it was a great opportunity because it really removed me from that social go, 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 show up here, do this, do that, and that routine
Yeah.
of living and doing things because it removed a lot of that external pressure. And so many other things opened up, through Zoom and such as our meeting you and whatnot. And I have found that removing those expectations, and when it comes to families and siblings, is so much of what I think of angst, was held within, was based on what, my older siblings would
Yeah.
push me to or tease me about this, that, and the other. And even recently, I mean, I'm 70 years old. My sibling, I'm the youngest. I mean, I've got a sibling, like 73 and 78. Um, and they both actually live not too far, somewhat anyway. And one was in the States for a long time, moved up. She's literally like 10 minutes up the road. And that was one of the worst Christmases I had when I found out she was moving back.
I
And it's
remember
funny,
that.
the instances where we met, or the way she inserted herself, tried to sort of insert her, whatever.
Where
Um,
the expectations were coming in.
and I think you even said like this was an opportunity for me to face that, or it was a lesson to let go of that. And aside from all the bits and pieces, I would just like to say that in the last few years, when you talk about walls and you talk about how your relationship with yourself changes, and it also changes other people around you. And a lot of my social network just shifted completely through that time frame. I've met so many more interesting people the last few years, and have gotten to know and become friends with. And um, these other people, my siblings who were always triggering this, that, and the other, I don't even see them anymore. I'm living in the same town. I go to the same grocery store, um, and I used to run into them and see them, but it's like they've been removed, or I don't know if the energy that I now carry. It's not so much about being blocked or building a wall. I have shifted. And I think there's a part of it where our realms just don't even
That's right.
mesh. It's like you bring in the people that, and I have brought in or been
Yeah.
exposed to or embraced so many different people. And yet some of these people that irked you or just weren't serving me, it's like they don't even see me anymore, maybe. It's not that they wouldn't see me, but
Yeah.
that
This,
energetic realm, I'm not in that same space anymore. And
yeah,
so there's no encounters
yeah,
to deal with.
it's frequency too.
Yeah.
Like it's a big frequency. And you I mean Barb and I could have conversations about this like that last probably hours long. Thank you for saying what you've said, Barb, because you've brought in another person's angle of witnessing this in your way. And I love what you just shared. And I also too really invite you to step into what that person said about you being a goddess. Because that is the power. Like receive that goddess part and be the goddess, right? Be that goddess in the aspects of yourself. And I'm talking about the dragon ally, the galactic shaman, and you have your own aspects of yourself. Be the goddess in there, right? Like I could feel the energy of what you're sharing here. Like very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Uh,
And I didn't take that goddess to be, you know,
Egotistical.
anything. It's just like,
Yeah.
wow, that was like I just was encouraging to two other strangers and coming into our breath and just being simply me.
Yeah.
And yet how powerful that was for other people and to be have that witnessed.
I love that. I absolutely love that. You know what? And thank you. Thank you so much, Barb. When we were asked to witness what somebody has said to us. This morning, I literally got a message from a really close friend of mine, and she wrote, she goes, "You needed to hear this." And I'm like, so she wrote this big, incredible thing about myself and her and our meeting and what I meant to her, kind of thing. And um, I'm like, well, what inspired this? And she goes, well, last year for your birthday, this is what was going on, and I wrote it because of that, and then it fell through because of other things, whatever it was around my birthday. And she said, I really felt like I needed to share this with you. And that's what I'm asking you guys to do with your little yous and your inner dragons, is let them share with you what they think you are. Okay? And I would love it if you would take that a step further and just reach out to me either in a private message or whatever, and just say, hey, I've done it. You know, I'm going to hold you accountable. Okay? You don't have to share, but I'm holding you accountable. Let me take a screenshot of who's here. So I'll reach out to you if I haven't heard from you. And same here. I'll let you guys know that I've done it as well. I'm very much love to do this work. Like I said, when I do these things, it's twofold. It's one, that I know that it's productive for myself, and it's productive for you guys as well, right? So, any wind up questions? Any comments? Oh, Elsa would like, yeah.
Yeah. No question, but one thing I wanted to say is that I have to recognize and make a little bow to myself from to where I was, and it was not 7 years ago, but it was almost 30 years ago when I took the first step on instead of blaming myself, saying, "Oh, um, you're also good, you're also lovable, you're also whatever it is," but to really, really love myself. And it's no blame that it took that many years. It's just my path. It's just one step at a time. And just to honor the way. And that's why in this moment, I want to thank the dragon, because when I found the dragon, it's when it got roots and also wings at the same time, and it went, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, I'm feeling so much power in that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? The length of the journey is what it is. I mean, when we look at the look at humanity, humanity's been around for a long time. So that we're in this, doing this in this lifetime, we're affecting all the lifetimes before us and in front of us. Okay? Very, very powerful. So, you wanted to share?
Yeah, what I recognize is being grateful for our experiences. It doesn't matter which kind of experiences were, because through those experiences we gain knowledge. From that knowledge we gain that wisdom. So we have to start somewhere. We don't know everything at once. So what school is teaching us, that we have to know it all, honestly, it doesn't work. Nobody knows it all. Nobody. We are just here to make those experiences and to find out what's right for us. That's why even all those, let's say, bad things like my abuse that I experienced, there is a gift in it because I learned through it. It's not only a bad thing. And really accepting everything that happened, not being stuck in a story because you try to cope with stuff. I'm not my story, I'm not my experiences, but it's I get a lot of to know about myself. So in the end, it is important to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's important. It's not a bad thing. It's just life. We try out and we find our own way through that. And really being grateful for what we were, what we went through, and who we are now. And interesting as I just have to share, I don't know why. I pulled a card. And I think it's very fitting. It says, I am the answered prayer of my past me, and the version of me my future self is proud of, all in this now moment. And I think that's important for each of us. Okay? Put it down that we can see this, that we really know it. Who I was then was important to experience. And me, who I am now, being able to acknowledge who I was and what I went through and being grateful for that is important too. So there's nothing to judge about, honestly. Nothing.
Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Simone. Yeah. Yeah. So your call to action is the writing of that. Sonia, did you have something to add? I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
mind, that's the time.
Yeah, I have the time.
Thank you. I really appreciate what you guided us through today, and I was surprised. I found the first part didn't surprise me. I found my little self and dragon dancing. They were dancing in a circle, and it reminded me of like a Smurfs cartoon dancing, and and just like they were happy and they were dancing. And then when you asked um, to see how they see me, I found myself in the center of the circle, and it just kind of just blew me away that they were celebrating me. And I recently visited my grandmother, and at one point I was driving us around when I got us back to her home. She was like, "Good job," and she just and that was what came up, good job, just and so often I'm the one taking care of others and encouraging others, and I'm the safe one where when they're in a bad mood, it gets put out on me, and I get to get better about not taking that. And it was just nice to hear her say that. And it struck me then. It's like, wow, I haven't heard that in a while. And so that came back in today, and feeling that at a whole nother level. And the awareness that, I no longer do the shaming, the blaming for my inner child or even my inner critic or ego, but oh wow, here's the opportunity to forgive the witness. Forgive the witness for the need for the contrast, for the need for the struggle and the suffering that is inherent in becoming conscious and being conscious. So that's where I went today, and thank you for that.
I'm just taking that in. Very powerful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'm going to come full circle again. You may have thought that this was about relationships with other people, and technically it is. However, ultimately, it starts with yourself. When you create the relationship with yourself, the others fall into place. And as you've heard each of the people who have spoken, that there is a frequency that we move into when we love ourselves, and we attract like frequencies. and frequency that no longer resonates with us naturally is replaced by that which does. And those people whose frequency no longer match with ours, they're often still a part of our lives in a different manner. And being okay with that. And when you care about yourself and you witness yourself and you honor yourself and you're in gratitude to yourself, others give that to you tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold. You guys are magical. Thank you for being here. Bye.